Well, good morning. This is Evangelist Kalata Davis, right here from Spreading the Gospel Network with our book interview for for January, and that's with none other than Dr. AudreyAnn Moses. How you doing this morning,
Hmm. I'm doing
Dr.
wonderful,
Moses?
wonderful.
How
How
are you
about
doing?
yourself? I'm doing
Oh, I'm
wonderful.
doing good. Good. We're excited about this
Good.
brand new year that we have embarked upon. We're in
Yes.
2023 and we are so
Yes.
excited for the things of
Yes, we
God.
are.
We thank you for being such a renowned author that you are and for
Mhm.
continuing to write, continuing to pen the
Mhm.
thoughts from your mind and putting it on paper and
Mhm.
then put it in book form. We thank you because
To God be the glory.
you have some
Yeah.
very interesting books.
Well, to God be the glory, because He puts the words in and then He gets them out.
Yes, yes. And
Hmm.
about how many books have you written on Dr. Moses?
Well, I've written uh, four novels. Well, actually, five novels, and I've just finished my sixth novel. I have a couple books, a couple stories that are in books with other authors, anthologies,
Wow.
and some articles, hmm articles in different magazines.
Yes, that is awesome. I know you are part of
Hmm.
Spreading the Gospel Network, and we're so excited because you have your books right on our website. You can go to
Hmm.
spreadingthegospelnetwork.com and you will see all of her different books that she have written or she's a part of. And we thank God for her entrusting us
Hmm.
to have her books on our website. And we
I
thank you for
appreciate it being there.
yeah, she puts an advertisement in our magazines every month
Hmm.
uh, about her books and the different books, and we're just looking excited about different things that to come. You know, she might put an
Hmm.
article in there, or just whatever uh, that she wants to do. Dr. Moses can do it. Amen. I don't say that
Amen.
to
Thank
many.
you,
I don't
Jesus.
say that to everybody, but we
Well,
welcome
I'm
you and
honored.
yeah, we thank God for Minister Letitia
Hmm.
Perry that introduced us and referred
Yes.
you to spreading the gospel. We thank God for her because without her, we would have never met you. And then
Yes.
once we met, I realized that you were Brother Walt's cousin. So I said, "Oh wow,
Yes.
it's a
Hmm.
small world.
Yep.
It's a small
Yep.
world." And we want to talk today about your new release, Saved by
Hmm.
Grace, and it's walking through life's afflictions into God's
Hmm.
deliverance. Wow.
Yes.
Please tell
Hmm.
us about this bestseller. Please tell us about this bestseller. We're claiming it.
Oh, yeah. It's an awesome book. But let me tell you a little bit about why I write the books the way I do.
Yes, ma'am. Please do.
Because I'm a psychologist and Christian life coach,
Oh, wow.
and because of that, I write my books, and they are novels, and they are stories about families that have
Mm,
issues. And because all families have issues, you
yes.
can say you don't, but every single family on the face of this earth, dead or alive, has some issue or another. And we can write a lot of self-help books. I'm not a fan of self-help books
Mm-hmm.
because I have several of them in a box somewhere, you know. But but with novels, people read them and then they see themselves, they see their family members. They're like, "Oh, that's Uncle Charlie in there. That's exactly what
Yes.
he does." So and it helps them to remember it better. So my books have all of my books have something dealing with individual spirituality, the spirituality of the family, the relationship of the family, relationships for the individual, emotional issues, mental health issues. All of those things
Mm,
are in every single book that I write. And there's always one or two characters that are featured with one of, especially with one of the mental health
Mhm.
issues that they're dealing with. So, and that way I can show what it looks like in real life. And then in the
Right.
back, like in the back of the story of Wade, I did put information about his particular mental health issue.
Mm.
So
That's
the story of Wade is book 2 of my Saved by Grace series. Book 1 is entitled Saved by Grace, Walking Through Life's Afflictions into God's Deliverance. And it is about the family, the Martin family, and all of the issues that the Martin family goes through. It starts out with a young man graduating from high school, going into college, about to be drafted. It's 1959, so he's about to be drafted, and there's a baby coming.
Oh
And
wow.
so it starts from there, all of the things that occur because of those things, because he was about to be drafted, because he's still a teenager, because there's a baby coming. And it goes through 5 generations of that family, and all the things, because of the things the nucleus family did. It follows through all the generations, the repercussions of those actions, and how each generation is dealing with it.
Mm.
So the story of Wade is one of those, one of the children.
Mm.
And in the story of Wade, Wade has a mental illness that he is dealing with, and he also has anger that he is dealing with. And throughout the book, it talks about, starting with the first book, it starts talking about all of the things that Wade is going through and that he causes for himself and to others. And
Wow.
then in the second book, I can tell you this much: in the second book, it starts out with Wade in prison.
Wow.
And then it just goes from there, talking about all the things that Wade went through while in prison, and how he was able, um, the things he did in order to deal with his demons, his things that he had to deal with. So
Wow.
I don't want to give away the whole book, but if you can read Story of Wade alone, but it would be a lot better to read both books together,
Right.
and that
Right.
way you can see where it started and how Wade ended up where he was. So
Mm.
that's that story, and it came out. I actually published it during COVID. So now we're trying to really get it out, get to have book signings and things. So I'm always available for book signings and book readings for it. And you can get it also on my website, which I know that Sister Carlotta has on her webpage, my
Yeah.
information. And
Yes.
I have another book that's at the printers now. And so as soon as it is printed, then it's going to be launched. And it's book 2 to another series.
Wow. That is just phenomenal to me. I
Mhm.
write as well, but I'm a new baby coming up. Dr. Mose, Dr.
You're
Mose,
going to
and
get
I'll tell you, the story of Wade, was that your first book?
no, that was
The story.
well, actually I wrote Saved by Grace first. And then
Mhm.
after Saved by Grace, I wrote 2 more books, Uninvited Memories and The Swing. And Uninvited
Mm.
Memories is a series. It's Earl Grey Chronicles, and it's a series. And I just finished book 2 of the Earl Grey Chronicles series. And Uninvited Memories is about a sailor girl. I'm retired Navy, so I'm partial to Navy.
Oh, okay.
And so the Earl Grey series are stories, Navy stories. And so
Okay.
and so in Earl Grey in Earl Grey Chronicles, Uninvited Memories is the first book, and it's the stories about a young sailor girl and some of her adventures at work and in her love life. It And in Uninvited Memories, the reason it's called that is because the a love connection that she had 20 years ago shows up in her retired Navy life. And she's also an investigator, so he's part of that issue that she has to deal with. The second book is a continuation of the investigation that she's doing on board a Navy vessel. So that book is called A State of Affairs Deception, and it will be out as soon as the printer gets it on in print and into
Wow.
Amazon. So I'm hoping that's going to be in the next week or so.
That is
And then I
awesome.
have the swing I did, and then I wrote the story of Wade. And so
Okay. So
I have two series that I'm continuing right now, and I'm going to be
wow.
doing another book in the series of the swing as well.
So you just continuously write. Since you
Yes,
became an
ma'am.
author, you just continuously write. Okay, you're helping me.
Well,
You're helping me.
yes, ma'am. I wrote from a child. You know, I've always written, I've always kept a journal all my life. I've always kept a journal. I was the child that I would run around and play for a minute, and then after that, I was done with the noise. I was done with all the, commotion. And every place I went to this day, I always have a pen and a notebook in my bag, always.
Yes,
And
yes.
so you'll find
I
me
have
in
one
a
right
corner.
beside my bed.
Yeah,
I have one
I'd be in a
right
corner
beside my bed.
somewhere writing.
Mhm.
So, my books started out as manuscripts from when I was in college. I
Wow.
took a creative writing class in college, and the stories that I started with were stories that I had to turn. So then said that my potential was really high for writing, but I never published. That was in the 90s, so I
Wow.
never published until 2017 was my first book. I had done some articles in magazines, but I had never published.
Right.
I did do my dissertation, and I published a portion of my dissertation in 2010. But other than that, I have not published novels until 2017, and I use my journals a lot in my books. Until 2017.
Yes. Yes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening. I'm just trying to go over to Facebook as well to see if we had some comments coming in that I couldn't see. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but we're good. We're still streaming. I tell
Yes,
you,
ma'am. Good.
I'll be trying to multitask over here, Dr. Audrey. I'm telling you,
Yes,
God is
you
really
you you
blessing
need a
me.
helper.
He is really
You need a
blessing.
helper.
I don't know. Sometimes with this I can't really have help because I'm maneuvering from backstage. So I really
Hmm.
it's no help for me.
Well, you have to find you some
But
help.
have you in
Sister
your
Coletta needs help, folks. Somebody can volunteer to help her.
That's right. That's right. Oh, believe me, I have help to get me to this point. But then when I
Oh,
did the interviews, I'm pretty straight,
yeah.
but I
Hmm.
sometimes I just try to balance it out by making sure
Yeah.
I'm getting I'm on the right track over here. But
Yeah. I understand.
as a writer, Dr. Moses, have you ever had writer's block?
Yes. That's that's why it took me, well, even the story of Wade, it took me a year and a half. Yeah, a
No,
year and a
to
half to
believe
write that book, because I started writing it because I wanted it to come out in 2018,
it. Mm-hmm.
but or 2019. I wanted to come out in 20 because the Uninvited Memories and The Swing came out in 2018.
Wow.
And I had started working on the story of Wade, and I wanted it to come out in 2019, but my daughter-in-law passed away. And
Mm.
when my daughter-in-law passed away, it just wiped me out. you know.
Mhm.
So I was really wiped out for a good while, and it took me almost a year to really get back into it. First of all, she was my heart, and
Right.
second of all, she was actually helping me. She was going to like be my co-writer for this book. And so
Wow.
when she passed away, it just really,
Just had to
my
put it
my
to the side
brain just
for a
kind of
minute.
stopped
Mhm.
working. So I did not start back writing until mid 2019, or actually closer to Christmas, and I was able to publish this book in June of 2020.
Mhm.
So it took me a long time, but the book that is publishing now, it took me a long time with that one because I just couldn't figure it out. You know, I did not have experience in writing sequels. So
Okay.
I wrote my first books like with Saved by Grace. I wrote Saved by Grace not intending to have a sequel until my readers were saying, what's the rest? What happened to Wade? What happened to this one? What when is the next book coming out? And I'm like, what next book? When is the next book coming? So
That's
then I had to create the story of Wade. So that was my first experience with sequels.
but
When I
now you
wrote
on a roll. You
I
on a
I got it
roll.
now because when I wrote Uninvited Memories, I knew it was going to be a sequel, but the way I wrote Uninvited Memories, I thought I left room for it to be easily continued, but it
Mm.
was just crazy trying to figure out how to finish it without getting arrested by the Navy, you know. So
Right, right, right.
because I
Sometimes
didn't
there's
want to
some
tell Navy
sensitive things in there. Yes.
yes, I was like, okay, I can't say that, and I had to keep
You're
going back.
helping
So
me.
it
You're
took me
helping
over
me.
a year. Mhm. It took me
Yeah,
over a year.
because I know I wrote Survive to Tell the Story, and that was a very sensitive issue for me
Yeah,
to expose
yeah.
the things that I went through, but I had to be oh so careful not to name names. And I just like,
Yes.
oh, I just want to say the name.
Yeah, you have to be careful about that. And
Oh,
in
yes.
my books,
Oh,
I've
yes.
learned to say, you know, this is not your Uncle Sam.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And,
right.
you
That's
know,
right.
one thing I did learn when I first started writing is you do have to be careful about how you name people
That's
in
right.
your book because
Mhm.
I started writing the Saved by Grace before I even moved to Greenwood. I just never tried to
Mm,
publish it. So I had the names already in place, sort of. And then
mm.
when I started, and then I realized that I had to change the name of one of my characters because the issues that that character was going through, I knew someone in person that was going through those issues.
Yes,
So
yes.
I had to change the name and I had to change the scenarios so that it didn't look as if I was using this person as a character
Mhm.
reference.
That's
So you
right.
do have to be really careful.
Yes, yes.
Psychologically, as a psychologist, I had to be really careful, and as a artist, I had to be really careful because you
Mhm.
don't want to get sued
That's
because
right.
someone thinks you're talking about them.
Talking about
You
them.
know.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
right. I mean, you just have so much wisdom that you can share with other authors, and I that's why I bless God for this interview, because
Yes.
like I said, this is I was in an anthology, then this was my first solo project, but I'm looking to
Hmm.
continue to write because I
Yes.
write plays, and I've written over 20, 30 some stage plays that I did in
Hmm.
Atlanta, Georgia. So, and I'm looking to put those in a book because that can
Oh,
help
good.
someone else
Hmm.
along the way to do some stage plays or to just
Yeah.
um, eventually I might put a couple of them into a movie form. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be
God
good.
is opening up. He's opening up my scope, and that's
Hmm.
what it comes down to writing. Like
Hmm.
with my book, it was my story. It was my autobiography, sort of getting
Right.
it started. I mean, if I would have
Right.
went into depth, the readers would still be reading that book. But I wanted to
Mm.
try to make it a simple read, a easy
Yeah,
read.
I read your book.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because it was a
I read your book.
first one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for
Hmm.
reading that.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
purchased a lot of the books, and I just give them to the women that's a part of my group,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I know some of the issues that I went through, they have went through as well, and my story sometimes encourages them that they
Right.
can make it through. You can make it through.
Right.
You can get out of
Right.
abusive relationships, or
Right.
various things that I went through. So I bless God for you, and I don't
Yeah.
know why the story of Wade is my favorite so far. And I know people,
Well, I'm glad.
when they read your books, they always gonna pick a favorite. So
Yes.
we
Hmm.
continue to look for you to
Yeah.
write, and you're welcome to put articles into our magazine,
Yes.
because we just accept the wisdom. We accept the
Yeah.
wisdom, and it really does help and encourage other people that they can do what you do.
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
what is some of the tips that you can give to upcoming authors, people that are just getting started out and wanting to publish their work? Give them some tips on this morning.
Well, the major tip that I would like to give is to don't be timid. I was
Mm,
very timid, and like I said, I started writing when I was young, but I started writing for novels in the 90s when I was in I had already gone to give you a time frame, I don't
mm.
mind telling, I'm 68 years old. I don't
Wow, you
mind
sure
telling
look
that.
like
And so I started doing keeping a journal when I was a young child. And all through my adolescence, my teenage years, through the military, all through the military, I kept a journal. So I have a lot of its and bits of stories that I can start. But when I retired from the military in 1996, and in 1997, I was taking a I needed some extra credit, so I just took I was working on my PhD, and I needed an extra credit, so I took a creative writing class.
mm,
And that book, it was two or three manuscripts that I did for assignments, and I kept those. And my professor said, finish these and publish them. And
wow.
I did not do that because I felt like, who wants to read my words? Who cares about my words? And then I was very timid because there wasn't anything that's self-publishing. It was available, but it wasn't out there yet. Everybody
Right.
was still really going through brick and mortars, and brick and mortars decided if your book was good enough or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I just did not want to put myself through that. So, and as an introvert, it would have been really devastating for me to write my book, feel like it's good, give it to you, you're the publisher, and then you say, "Oh, we're not publishing that book. It's not going to make money." You know.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I just decided not to do that. And so 20 years later almost, I
That's
decided,
okay.
my friend actually, really good friend of mine's here, I showed her one of my manuscripts. We were having lunch, and I would say, "Look, I found this. Look what I wrote." And she read it. She said, "How come you didn't publish this?" Ain't nobody want to hear my words. She said, "How do you know?"
Wow.
And when she said that, it clicked because I'm like, well, I mean, she says, "How do you know that no one wants to hear your words or read your words if you don't put it out there for them to tell you if they want to read them or not?"
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I wrote Story of Wade, and it was published in 2017. So from 97 to 2017, this the beginning of this manuscript sat in my curio,
Wow.
and it just sat there, and I just left it there. And so,
Great.
and
Great.
mainly it was because I was afraid. So,
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid.
Don't be
The
afraid.
words are there. God will help you to bring the words out, and God will help you to put them on paper.
That's right.
and
Now,
then you go from there. And
since you
I started doing editing on a small scale.
okay,
So I have a really good friend that's an awesome editor. You know, she lives in Washington, D.C. But I started doing editing because people like Letitia were saying,
mhm,
you know, you need to help other people. You can, because I'm basically a new author. So, you know, as I'm going through, I can help other people to come through. So
that's
I
good.
decided that I would do a little bit of editing on the side just to help people to get in the right direction.
That's
So
right.
when they send their book to the real editors, you know, then they, you know, it would be already be in good shape, and they
Yeah,
won't have to do so much to repair their book before it goes to the printer. And I
yes.
really encourage self printing. However,
Mm-hmm.
I also encourage that you get help even with your self printing, because I see a lot of books that the person writes the book, they put their heart and soul in it. It's not edited right. They publish it on their own because, you know, you can do that, publish it on your own, get it out there and start selling your book. It has a lot of errors in it. It has the format is not correct. And so, and because you don't know, I don't know. I have someone that does that for me, you
Right,
know. So I
right.
really recommend that you do self-publishing and become a independent author. I recommend that highly.
Yeah,
However, I also recommend that you get help, you know,
yes,
and don't just do it on your own, you know.
yes. I used
So those would be my recommendations.
I actually used a writer's coach, Pastor Lorraine Jenkins Wilkes. She
Hmm.
is awesome. My journey was smooth. I mean, she just told me simply to write, and that's what I
Yeah,
did. And when I sent it
yeah,
over to her, um, she began to make it make sense,
yeah.
because sometimes
Hmm.
it don't make sense to us when we write, but just
Yeah,
just write and flow in that, and then have your writer's coach or have someone to
right,
read your book. And
right.
sometimes it's not good to have a close friend or somebody like that
Well,
that is gonna tell you,
I
"Oh,
don't
girl,
agree.
that is great, that's awesome." But then
I
you got
don't agree. I
yeah.
don't agree.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't agree. And the reason I don't agree, I understand what you're saying. I see Letitia. Hey, Letitia, I see her online.
Yes,
She's been
ma'am.
telling me become a coach, become a coach. So I guess I'm gonna become a coach.
That's awesome.
But
Yes.
I understand what you're saying, that you know your friend will say, "Oh, it's good," even if it isn't. But
Right,
if you
right.
have a really good friend, if you have a
That's
close
right.
friend, somebody that really knows you,
Mhm.
knows how you think, knows how you're taught, because it's really important that your voice
Your tone stays
shows in
there.
your
Mhm.
book, you
That's
know.
right.
So because an editor will change your voice if you as the author are not careful, an editor, not on purpose, but an editor will change your voice. My
Yes.
really really good friend, she and I have been friends since my son was 3 months old, and he's
Oh,
40.
wow.
We were friends in the military. I was stationed in Japan, and she was my sponsor. She was the one that helped us to get settled and everything when we went to Japan. And so she is a wordsmith. She was always in the administrative world. She still is in the administrative world. And so when I wrote Saved by Grace, I asked her to proof it for me. And she proofs every last one of my books.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
she takes out all the that's and the buts and the all of that stuff. Um, Sometimes she will say something needs to be changed, and I will say, no, we can't change that because
Right,
it'll
right.
change the voice
The
of
whole
what's going on at
mhm.
that point. So and that's what we do. We go back and forth, and she really is good for me because she has known me forever.
That's
And
awesome.
so she knows how I talk, she knows how I think. And then so when it goes to the editor, then the editor, now I have the same publisher that I've had. I'm an independent author, but I have someone that does the backdoor stuff for
That's
me.
right.
And one of the things she does is reread my entire book and make sure that everything is correct, the formatting is correct, that
That's
my
great.
voice is correct. She
That's
does all of that for me as a part of her fee for getting my book to the printer.
that's awesome.
And so I understand what you're saying about your friend might not give you the truth. So
Right,
you don't want that person to
right,
proof your
right.
book.
Yes,
You
that's
want
what right,
somebody
that's what I
that
was saying.
right. You
Yes,
want
ma'am.
somebody that knows you, that knows what you're trying to do, or like you said, find somebody else to do it,
Mhm.
you know.
That's right. Well, we
Hmm.
thank God for
Yeah.
this interview on this morning with Dr. AudreyAnn Moses with Saved by Grace, our new release.
Hmm.
You can go visit spreadingthegospelnetwork.com or simply go over to amazon.com and be able to purchase any and all of her books. I'm telling you, that
Yes.
it is worth the read. I'm telling you, it's a good read on her books and her
Hmm.
storyline, and I thank God for that. She has been so much encouragement to us, and we
Hmm.
thank you. Minister Letitia says that that's right. You're already doing it. So the coaching part,
Thank you.
you're already doing it, sis. And we
Yes, yes,
God.
yes, yes.
Bless God for you. We thank you for the connection. And again, you can find her in our Spreading the Gospel magazine, in our Divine Women's magazine. And we
Mhm.
welcome you to submit articles. We just love working with you in the
Yeah,
kingdom.
I love working with you all as
Yes,
well. It,
ma'am.
it's it's a blessing to me, and it's really funny. My husband has never seen the magazine because I get my magazine, I read through it, and then I just put it on my desk. And so, about a week or so ago, he's like, "What is this?" And so he's looking through the magazine. He's like, "This is you," you know. And I'm like, I said that's the magazine that I always put something in. So it made me feel good, that
Yes,
I was
yes.
like,
Oh,
I never
believe
did
me and trust, it is going
that.
out. It's in the
Yeah.
digital magazines as well as our printed magazines when we have printed issues. And we thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, this interview
Yeah.
will air starting on Friday, January the 20th, 6:30 to 7 p.m. and on
Mhm.
Saturdays, 6 to 6:30. And this interview airs for 2 weeks. So we bless
Mhm.
God for this great interview on today. And we are now
Yes.
going to let you have a great day. And
Yes.
don't forget to tune in to spreadingthegospelnetwork.com. Thank you and have
Mhm.
a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Be blessed.